Welcome to week 36, where we really dive into the core of things. This week, it's all about achieving emotional freedom, and we'll continue working on this over the next 2 weeks. This means we've dedicated 3 weeks to the topic of emotional freedom. You've already completed 2 weeks of training, focusing first on how to communicate with yourself as a preparation for this week, and then on how to change your emotional state instantly. What we are doing now, and in the next 2 or 3 weeks, is an absolute masterclass. Achieving emotional freedom isn't easy, it's incredibly challenging. It truly is a masterclass. The goal here isn't for me to tell you what to do if your partner behaves a certain way, or to say you should break up with them or stay with them. It's not about that. It's about training. What do you do when you find yourself in a situation? How do you handle different situations in your life? This is independence because you never know what situations might arise. Now, you might think, but I don't even have a partner. That doesn't matter. It's not just about a partner, it's about emotional freedom concerning all people, drivers who cut you off, your boss, coworkers, partners, spouses, everyone. This is emotional freedom in relation to all human interactions, and that's what we will practice intensively now. As I mentioned, it's very difficult to achieve this. You've already done a great job preparing with the communication aspect. Learning this doesn't happen in a week, but you've already learned how to change your state quickly. This is why it's crucial that you stay committed to this every week, as each week builds on the last. Think about your math classes from school. If you didn't pay attention for 3 months, you'd find it difficult because everything is interconnected. You've already laid a strong foundation in the last 2 weeks, and now we are really getting into the nitty-gritty. I have some questions for you regarding your training. Please take a moment to write down your thoughts over the next few days as you watch this video. You don't need to write in full sentences, just jot down your answers. Here's your first question, and just so you know, it's not only about this specific topic but rather all topics, which we will cover in the coming weeks. We will approach this step by step, just as I outline. First, write down on a piece of paper, is loyalty important to you? Now, think about how many % of men and women in a long-term relationship, say 10 or 20 years, you believe cheat. Just jot down the percentages for both men and women. What did you write down? For women, you might have put 60% and for men, 90%. I've conducted Instagram surveys before, and they consistently show that men often say 85% to 90% cheat at some point. Now, I question you, if loyalty is so important, and we assume that 60 to 70% of women and 80 to 90% of men might cheat over a span of 10 to 20 years, how can you then achieve emotional independence when everything is thrown off balance? I'm not saying you should accept infidelity or that you should do nothing. I ask you, if it were to happen, how would you remain emotionally free? Many people spend years worrying about whether their partner is cheating or not, constantly checking their phones and becoming stressed about every minute they are late. That entire decade of worry could be wasted energy. To achieve emotional freedom, it's clear that it makes no sense to let your emotional state depend on someone else. Let me share a story based on true events. Your task is to immerse yourself 100% into the perspective of this person. Let's start. Imagine you are a woman named Sabrina, regardless of your actual gender. You are 30 years old and meet a man from Iraq who came to Germany for his studies. At first, things weren't great, but over time, you find him charming and polite. He doesn't speak German very well, but he comes from a good family in Iraq. Eventually, you become a couple, and you even marry and have 4 children together. While he is very loving and kind to the children, he struggles to find work due to language barriers. You become the primary breadwinner, and your mother helps with the kids. Although he goes out to parties and meets friends, he is always there for the kids. But then one day, your oldest child discovers some explicit pictures in the car. You confront him, but he brushes it off, and you decide to let it go. As the years go by, however, you sense something is off. Eventually, you hire a private investigator, and during one of his outings, you find out that he is cheating on you. After this discovery, you feel you can't accept this betrayal, and you decide to separate. The kids struggle with the loss of their father, and your life becomes chaotic as you juggle work and motherhood. Years later, you enter a new relationship, hoping for happiness. At first, everything seems great, but soon you realize this man doesn't accept your children. He has his own prejudices and is not a supportive partner. As time passes, he faces health issues and passes away from a heart attack. Reflecting on your years together, you realize that the relationship was not fulfilling. You lost precious time and happiness, and your children lost a stable father figure. After his death, stories about his infidelities come to light, and you begin to question your past decisions. One of your children asks, "Was it worth leaving Dad for someone who didn't love us?" This moment of realization leads to deep regret. Now, think about how you would respond to such a situation. The point of this story is to put yourself in the shoes of someone who faces these challenges daily. While I'm not justifying infidelity or saying it's acceptable, it's a reality that many face. So, write down what you think the percentages of cheating are among men and women. The likelihood exists, and we must be prepared. We must work towards emotional freedom without giving our control to others, because that's when we lose control over our lives. Your task for this week is to watch this video every day, and each day, put yourself in a different person's shoes. One day, immerse yourself in the perspective of the woman, the next day in the father, and then one of the children. Engage in this empathy training, it's incredibly valuable. We will continue with different levels of emotional training in the next session. I hope you found this video helpful. This is a challenging week ahead. Remember to truly place yourself in the various character situations. See you next week. Your Elise.